Welcome one and all to Umami Manga. I'm Petter and this is James.
How's it going?
And today we're talking about volume 6 of To Your To Your Eternity. No, we're talking about Spy Family.
We're going back in time.
Yeah, been a while since we talked about To Your Eternity now, too. I don't know why I said that. I guess it's been on my mind a little bit. But anyway.
It kind of just rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, since I've said it 15 times. And I've only done this one 5 times before now. Anyway, we're talking about Spy Family. And it's actually the last one we're doing in at least 2 months or so. Don't know exactly. I think Volume 7 comes out in English on April 5th.
Yeah,
if I recall.
It's a lot. It's something around there, somewhere around there. It's a long time.
Yeah, but oh well. We're caught up exactly now to, or beyond caught up to where I had read before we started the series, since I had read up to the first chapter of this book since before we started this. So I was very happy to actually read something new with this book. And something I want to touch on before we get into the character discussions this time is that I think it was in our Volume 1 discussion of this series we discussed kind of how the setting is very clearly inspired by the Cold War and how we thought it was somehow like an equivalent kind of world to our world in the 50s or 60s. We sort of talked about it being like around those decades.
Sure.
But there was actually a message in this book, like on one of the bonus pages or extra pages, a short little message by Tatsuya Endo, where he wrote that the setting or the intended setting for this is more like 60s or 70s.
I could definitely see the 70s a bit.
Right, yeah, like I guess neither of us had really considered it, but when we know it, it makes a lot of sense, right? And I think, or at least my initial, or where my mind went initially was to Yor and kind of her design and kind of how she dresses and how she keeps her hair. To me, feels a lot more like late 60s, early 70s, kind of like around that era. So yeah, just nice to know, I guess, where the writer sort of drew his inspiration from.
Her fashion feels definitely around that time period, at least more so than 50s.
Right? Yeah,
is my thought.
Definitely, yeah. So yeah, do you have anything else you'd like to touch on before we get into the character discussions?
This is a really good volume. I really like this one.
Good. I did too.
I'm excited to talk about it.
Sweet, me as well. Then let's start by talking about Loid Forger, Twilight. I guess the first thing I'll say is that when Loid learned about the truth behind those Saccharus dossier, like the whole thing that he had acquired, like that he and
is it pronounced Fiona, dossier or dossier? Like,
okay, I don't actually know.
I don't even know.
It's not a very common word.
No, not really. I think it's like a fancier way to saying like journal or papers or memo, you know?
Right.
It's like, come on, guys. Do you have to be that fast? Anyway.
Yeah. But no, like, yeah, when he when they eventually decoded the code on the the decoding was for finding the place, and then they found the place and they got the stuff. And anyway, he seemed to be conflicted about lying to Yor, and I think we touched on this a little bit in our previous volume discussion, that he sort of has feelings that how he might be feeling bad potentially about the situation, essentially. But I think this, or at least in my opinion, the scene in this book where after they had learned about that guy who had that collection of photos and stuff, and how Loid basically related that to his own situation in a way, I feel like that was stronger or more, well, it was a bigger thing, I guess, than it had been in previous volumes, and I thought it was nice to see that he has those sorts of conflictions within him.
Yeah, and I think that message, at least one of the message you can take from that is, basically lying to keep the peace. Or maybe he was just thinking, is lying okay when it keeps a family together, because this Zacharias or whatever his name was, he still wanted to keep his family together, but knew that something had to be sacrificed in some way. So I wonder if that family part of it is something that also is stuck on Loid's mind. But the family is basically a lie in the first place.
Yeah.
And Yor already knows that.
Yeah.
In fact, she feels kind of guilty about it herself. And I think it parallels with how Loid is feeling. At the end of that chapter, they're both kind of forlorn or very much lost in thought.
Yeah.
Which I love how that chapter ends. I'm so glad that wasn't the end of the volume because I would have died.
Yeah, that would have been rough.
But I thought it was a very good end to the chapter. It kind of, I don't know, gave some suspense to what was going on in their minds. So anyway, I like that conflict that really comes up in both of their minds.
True. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was a downer ending to that chapter. So...
But I liked it.
Which is
It was a good downer.
for sure. Exactly. Yeah, it makes the story interesting and good. Yeah, I mean it was funny too. Like the very last panel of that chapter was Fiona training in the forest.
Oh my word!
In the mountains. but yeah, like overall it was definitely a downer ending. But yes.
I guess just going back to the very beginning of this volume, just the underground tennis thing.
Yeah.
Of course, Twilight is a god at tennis. Like. The man is just incredible at whatever he does. But, Mr. Oh, I just dabble a little bit. But, and I didn't think about this too much during my first read-through, but the second read-through, it kind of dawned on me. Maybe his practice with Yor actually helped him get better. It wasn't just, well, I mean, yes, they had Anya there, and obviously she was being her goofball, unathletic self. But I also wonder if he actually went back and forth with Yor, like serving or something. I don't know. Just because one Yor explains that, I did this basically. Well, I'll say. Never mind. I won't talk about Yor specifically, but Twilight says as a warning to Fiona, "Hey, I'm just telling you." It's not going to go the way you think or something along those lines.
Yeah.
As if he's talking from experience, specifically in tennis. So I wonder if something like that happened. Then again, this is Twilight we're talking about. Maybe he was just this good to begin with.
True. At the very least, I also, I didn't really pick up on the idea that he, well, obviously must have, played against Yor himself. And so it makes sense with that in mind. But yeah, that is an interesting observation.
So during their whole espionage thing, or their, I guess, their mission, he's under the impression that Nightfall is trying to make a name for herself, and that might mess up the mission. Which he's not wrong about the mess up the mission part, and he's also not wrong about making a name for herself. She just wants his last name.
Yeah.
That kind of make a name for herself.
Yep.
No, he's completely dense about the entire thing. Understandably so. While she's obviously, to the reader, very much infatuated with the man, I think she does a good job of, well, for the most part, hiding it from the rather dense, shockingly dense Loid.
Yeah.
Mr. Ladies Man.
Right. Although, I guess with her, like, never shifting face expression, I guess we can't blame him too much, I guess.
Right. There are signs, though, and when we talk about Fiona, I'll point them out.
Oh, yes, please do. Anything more on the tennis stuff?
Of course, he's prepared with a bulletproof vest.
Yeah.
He knew they were playing tennis. Like,
that was actually really funny. I thought that detail, because it reminded me of what, like, their first visit to Eden Academy, when he was prepared with everything. Like, and like he thought of like getting a change of clothes, and like
right.
like all of that. And this I felt had a similar vibe to that.
Yeah.
It was funny.
Absolutely. A couple of things that are a little more about his personality. He's seen a lot of comrades die from losing their cool, or maybe being a little too confident in themselves.
Right.
And obviously he doesn't want that to happen to Nightfall. So it's nice to see that while he is the hot shot, spy, he cares very much for his team. He's not overly cocky, you know. He's not
Yeah.
thinking that I'm better than everybody else. I mean, besides the fact that he is better than everybody else, he doesn't think that he's all high and mighty, you know.
No.
He cares about the people around him, which I think is a very great trait of his.
Absolutely.
And going along with that, he even cares about his enemies, you know.
Yeah.
He encourages the Campbell brother, you know, and says, "Hey, you could be really great at tennis if you just keep practicing." And I think that meant a lot to him. So yeah.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like it.
We already knew this. Loid's a great guy.
Right.
more signs towards that.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been great to see that. A little bit later in the volume, something that I thought was, well, I guess we did get a little bit more information about his past when he talked about his mother, and how he can't really recall what she looked like particularly well, which I think probably means that he lost her somehow pretty early on.
Very sad.
For some reason, right? Like, she probably died. It's the only thing it's like my
maybe
best
a
guess,
bomb
probably.
or something.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, just I guess interesting to know about that he, well, I already probably leaned toward thinking that he didn't really necessarily have a family anymore. I probably thought that, I mean, especially since we saw the image in Volume 1 of him as a kid just in a war zone, kind of, which I felt implied that his family was probably dead. But this even further kind of tells us that his mother, or that he lost his family really like so early on that he doesn't really even remember what they look like, or at least his mother, at least he doesn't remember her face. So yeah, that's very sad.
It is very sad, but he does remember the feeling of safety, despite all the terrible things that were going on outside.
Yeah.
He remembers feeling safe.
Right.
And so if Yor can get him to feel safe, then, or if, not just Yor, but just the family, you know, Anya and Yor, if he feels safe within that family, and feeling safe is a little more abstract than it may sound, I think.
Right.
But I think that once there is that moment where he feels like he can, I guess, let his guard down, then I think that's when he'll finally realize, wow, I have a family. Like this is the feeling that I've been yearning for so long.
That's gonna be so satisfying whenever we get there.
If we get there.
True. But no, I absolutely agree. And I will point out one other thing about this is that I guess we should also consider the possibility that he may have not been sincere when he told Yor about his mother, about his past. However, I am choosing to think that he was sincere when he in all of that. Well, I just wanted to at least, I guess, present the possibility that he wasn't, since after all he is a world-class spy, you know.
So, well, present it more, because I didn't even think of that as a possibility. Like, what do you mean by being insincere? Just
that basically that everything he told Yor about his mother was not truth.
Huh.
Basically,
but we did see a vision. Like he had like a little dream of his mom.
You're right. And he heard like her singing through Yor's singing. So yeah, I guess and yeah, I guess that's maybe defeats that, which is a good thing personally. I think.
Oh yeah.
I don't want him to be insincere in that, of course. But I just, at least it was a thought I had. But yeah, probably isn't the case.
When you first mentioned insincere, I thought you were talking about his almost confession to Yor back at the bar.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and to me, that's actually another interesting part where he mistakenly thinks that Yor has developed romantic feelings for him, and he kind of switches. Well, he's shocked at first, but then he switches gears to, I guess, trying to go the route of a womanizer, or you know, just like making her feel love. But at the same time, doesn't that seem a bit much? You know, especially since he was so or he was feeling conflicted about lying to Yor. Would he lie even further by, confessing his love and asking them to be really married, like become his real wife?
Yeah.
Like I don't understand what that was, other than did he suddenly become sincere? Although he did mention that this was one of his plans, like one of his moves that he does as a spy.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah.
I don't think that was like a real confession, or at least the attempt to a real confession. I don't think so. I think it was really because we even saw like the transition sort of from him going to being genuinely surprised and kind of caught off guard to like converting over to his like Twilight persona.
Right. Well, I just thought it was odd that he was willing to toy with her emotions in that moment. I guess he was worried that it would, that she would run away because of it or something. But and anything for the mission, I understand. But I don't know. Just didn't seem like Loid would do that to Yor at this point.
You're right. That is a bit concerning or odd. But I guess in that moment,
it was a joke in the end.
Right. In the end, it was. You're right. But I guess also because sort of in that situation at that time, there was the whole, well, Yor had those doubts sort of about Fiona and how Loid wanted to really win Yor over, to win her back, basically. And I guess that was the route he decided to take, I suppose.
Yeah.
At least once he was under the impression that Yor liked him in that way.
But, I think that what they're feeling right now, that bit of feeling guilty for lying or holding them back from living their real life, I think that's a sign that they do care for each other.
Yes.
You look back, taking Twilight's perspective, you look back at all the women that he's deceived, I don't think he really cared too much, partly because they were probably terrible women to begin with, but also they were just part of a mission and he had no real feelings for them.
Yeah.
Versus now, I think, again, like we probably said every episode, those feelings are growing.
Yes, I think so. Absolutely. A bit later in the book, I really loved getting to see, or to kind of getting to follow along with Twilight's thought process as he was trying to come up with a way to get into the Imperial Scholarship mixer, or the Imperial Scholars mixer area. Like I thought, like just all of the different things that he considered and kind of thought about. I thought it was just a lot of fun to sort of getting to follow along with all of that.
I think it was good because I think he kind of trounced some of those typical spy actions, disguising yourself as one of the VIPs. But what if someone recognizes you and you're like, wait a minute, well, you're not acting like your normal self. Or skydiving down to the top of the building. Like, how many times have you seen that in a movie?
Right.
And he's like, that's too conspicuous. Like, you're right. Why wouldn't they be watching for that? One, but two, like, wouldn't people just see it normally? Like, anyway.
Yeah.
Especially in broad daylight.
For sure. But I loved also ultimately like how his plan to ultimately get to to come face to face with Donovan Desmond in the end, and how that actually worked. Obviously we definitely have Anya to thank for that partially. But still he did manage to get face to face with Donovan, and oh my god, that final page of this volume is just so cool with him and Donovan there just looking at each other and what's gonna come of this. Obviously we'll talk about that in predictions and stuff at the end of the episode, but yeah, just like great job, Twilight. I did not expect for them to get to come face to face with each other by volume 6. So this is very exciting.
I feel the exact same way. Like, did not see that coming at this point in time, but here we are. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I have a few thoughts, but again, we'll save that.
I look forward to hearing it. Anything more on Twilight?
I think that's all I got.
All right. Then moving on to Anya.
Fashion, baby. Work it. Oh my gosh, honey. You're slaying me. Her her and Becky get special keychains after their shopping day. Oh my gosh, just
Oh.
all of the precious best friends moments. I love it.
My heart. Yeah, my heart melted when I saw that. Or like, and their smiles when they came to school like the day after and all.
Yeah.
So cute. And just in general, like it was just so great to see Anya, enjoy her day out with Becky so much and all that and it was also just fun to see her try out all those different outfits as well.
I mean, I was kind of impressed with Endo's fashion, like his. Maybe he borrowed, looked through some fashion magazines or something, but I know his ability to create these outfits for the characters was pretty good.
Absolutely, and the page that has 6 outfits of Anya, like 3 on top and 3 at the bottom.
Yeah.
That page, it resembled a page in one of the previous volumes. I can't remember which one it was now. Maybe like 3 or 4, where I'm gonna guess it was volume 3 because that's the one that has Yor on the cover. Anyway, there was a page between 2 of the chapters in that volume where there was basically like the same type of page with Yor in 6 different outfits, kind of how she wears her clothes throughout the week. like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and so like and like sort of a description as to how and why she wears those clothes and like on that day and stuff like that.
That's it. That's it. I'm going to Barnes and Nobles and buying the freaking volumes. I'll be right back. Was that a little too much simping?
I don't know why I didn't say that back then when we talked about that volume. Must have.
You fool!
Must have.
No, you did it. You did it for my own good.
Yeah, I guess so. But hey, I said it now anyway. But yeah, it basically this page with these 6 outfits of Anya in that way really reminded me of that, and I feel like it was probably intentionally similar. And I loved both the one that we had a couple volumes back of Yor, and I absolutely loved this one as well with Anya here.
Yeah, it was great.
Mm-hmm. And then the page after that as well gave us some other crazy outfits too.
Yeah, you've gone farther than you've gone beyond that point. Just keep going on. You keep going.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Her little speech to encourage Damien, while hilarious, because she's like, I'm scared of telling my dad, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Wait, what was I talking about? That moment.
So good. So good.
But, even her little, I guess, tangent or whatever inspired Damien to confront his dad. So I think that, Anya kind of saved the day there in her own way. And that's what it's going to be. It's always going to be in Anya's own special way. Is she going to save the day or complete the mission,
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
Also, we almost got a moment where she punched Damien again.
Oh yeah. Good thing she's got Becky.
Yeah.
To tell her not to do that.
Yeah, you'll probably be expelled.
Yeah. And there were 2 parts in this volume where people sort of thought that she was reading their minds.
Oh yeah.
Well, in obviously we can't say exactly how serious those suspicions were, but still there were people who thought that first it was Yor who had those sorts of thoughts pretty early in the volume, and then also Damien had that thought during that scene when she convinced him to still go see his dad, and I don't know, it just makes me wonder, like, when and how are people going to eventually find out about those powers? I don't know.
I mean, it's not something that you would normally suspect of someone,
Right, yeah.
So I imagine it could take a while, but she at the same time, she does need to be careful, although she is, again, very cunning in how she's able to backtrack. It's for this, or it's because of this. That kind of stuff, and that's good, but can't blabble about what everyone's thinking.
Yeah.
But I know she knows that. It's just she's
Yeah.
a little too carefree.
Right.
A little too careless.
But there was also that, like, part of the rumors about the Zacharias dossier or whatever. Among the rumors about those, before they actually found out what it was and that it was a bit underwhelming, among the rumors was that it was about Ostania's human experimentations and stuff, and like or things like that. Was at least partially of what it was rumored to be about, which I don't know, made me think of Anya, obviously, but it also makes me wonder, like, I guess how well known or how big of a thing is that kind of thing, I guess, in this world. I wonder if perhaps Twilight, who obviously is very established in the spy world, does he know of other people? Maybe he's had encounters with other people that have had various supernatural powers, or I don't know.
I would be surprised because Wise and Twilight seem pretty aware of, was it Operation Apple? Was that what it's called? With Bond and his experimentation that went on with him.
Right.
Seem pretty aware of that.
True.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they were also aware of the human experimentations, whether that be the same operation or a different one.
Good point.
So yeah, but maybe he just hasn't noticed it in Anya yet. I mean, I would assume so. He hasn't.
Well, right.
You know, on that point, there was also the rumor that Westalis, wasn't Westalis? They took prisoners of wars and like tortured them or did some,
or killed them. Maybe I think
killed them.
It was something about I think it was murdering or massacring prisoners of war, something like that. Yeah.
And just because the human experimentation thing is something that definitely happened, what if that also definitely happened?
Right. Yeah.
And it makes me wonder if that could be any connection to Yor and Yudi's parents, or someone else that they know, and maybe that comes up again, which would give her ample reason to hate Westalis. You know?
Right.
So, but that's just, again, another I guess shot in the dark.
Right.
But it just makes me wonder if that will play any sort of part going forward.
Exactly. Right. Yeah, and I definitely also thought about that. I didn't make the connection that it may potentially be related to
it's a pretty
Mr. and Mrs. Breyer, but I mean, it's possible. That absolutely is a possibility. But regardless, I do think and at least hope that it's going to be relevant in the future of the story. Because I guess before we got that, or before I read that part in this book here, in my mind, I was sort of like, Westalis is the good guys and Ostania is the bad guys. Like, I guess, sort of in my mind. But with this, and I enjoy this even more, for it to not be that black and white, you know. I definitely enjoy more of that kind of morally gray kind of thing for both sides. Because obviously, we know that Ostania, which is where the story takes place largely, it's not all bad, you know. We've seen a bunch of amazing characters from Ostania. So obviously, Ostania
gave us Yor.
Well, yeah, and you know, Henry Henderson
and Anya and Henry Henderson.
But yeah. Anyway, like I'm very intrigued by that, and I really hope it becomes relevant moving forward.
And then you look at real life. I mean, history is told by the victors, right?
Yep.
And so you look at World War II and the Allies. You know, they were the heroes. But while I would say that probably the Axis groups probably did more stuff that was against, you know, war code probably. I wouldn't say that the Allies were completely scot-free of not doing some questionable things. I mean, you know, you look at how America attacked Japan in the end, or beat Japan in the end. You know, so while there are victors, it's not really so much. It depends on your point of view, obviously, but it's hard to say in black and white, good guy versus bad guy per se.
Absolutely. And I guess that has been building up slightly, I guess, throughout the volume, since with this book, you know, as we've been talking about this now, it definitely seems to be the case, to be, you know, more,
Mm-hmm.
you know, hard to define who's good and who's bad and stuff like that, which is interesting. But there was also that monologue from Sylvia a few volumes back where she was talking about her experience with war and all of that, which
Yeah.
was so touching and moving.
Mm-hmm.
And like these sorts of things aren't necessarily expected, I guess, at least for me, like in this series, but it's something I really enjoy. And
Yeah.
I do want Endo to lean more into that as the series continues.
Absolutely.
But anyway, Anya, anything more on her?
I don't think I have anything else other than
Mm.
comedy stuff.
Gotcha. Then let's move on to your Forger for now.
I like how she's getting a little more worried about Nightfall stealing Loid from her,
Mm.
or I guess she wouldn't know her as Nightfall. She knew her as Fiona,
Mm.
but obviously would ruin her cover. But I'm really sure there are some other feelings there. And as she mentions at the end of, I think, the chapter where they go drinking,
Mm.
she mentions that she's grown comfortable, or she recognizes that she is attached to her current circumstance,
Yeah.
similar to how she was with Yuri. So I think that's a huge sign that she is at least growing familial bonds with these two. And I think romantic will soon come.
I hope
Eventually.
so. Yeah. Yeah, because I will say the first time I read this book, I will admit I was very sleepy when I read this book the first time. Not a good idea. And so when I read it the first time, I sort of like after having finished reading the book, and I laid it aside. I was like, I guess Yor really does have romantic feelings for Twilight. But
I wish.
after having read it again today, I was like, okay, it's definitely not that certain, but
Right.
But at the very least, she definitely has grown attached to both Loid and Anya, like in a family sort of way, you know, at least similarly to that. So
well, it's like if someone were to try to take your best friend away from you, you know, that kind of thing, or take away your life, your current life, especially if you're comfortable with that. And she kind of felt threatened by Fiona. And I thought it was really cute when after she, you know, wins against Fiona in tennis, she just goes up to her, is like, I won, like I beat her. And she's like, yes, you did. And she just kind of like struts off like Victor. I really like that moment for her.
Yeah, absolutely.
But obviously, she needed a little more closure, a little more understanding, and that next chapter, I think, really gave it to her.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
But holy crap, the woman never ceases to amaze me with her just godlike strength.
Oh yeah.
Just serving a ball. Well, one cutting the ball into not millions, like a lot of pieces.
Yeah.
And then serving the ball at like a bullet speed, or the speed of light.
speed of sound, I think.
Oh, speed of sound. Is that what you said? Oh, okay, speed of sound.
But that's still very fast.
Oh, of course. And yeah, that's insane.
It is.
I just, you know, the past 2 chapters ago, or 2 volumes ago, excuse me, when she stopped the car with her with her kick, and then this, like, it just blows my mind.
Yeah, like they're on the same scale, I suppose. Just incredible displays of strength, and you know, also a lot of props to her racket, like her tennis racket.
Yeah.
Because she was able to hit it with hers, but Fiona's couldn't receive it.
Go figure. Maybe he grew in force. It also amazes me more because you see how dominant Fiona and Loid are at their tennis matches. You know, incredible they are.
Right.
And then you get to this point, and Fiona's just incredibly overwhelmed. It's like, wow. Yeah, never ceases to amaze me. I love Yor for it.
Absolutely.
Rex Loid in the chin.
Oh yes.
Like same old. I mean, I think it's the first time she's actually hit him.
Yeah. At least gotten like such a good hit in. at the very least. Like, I know at the castle she started attacking him, but I don't know if she
landed a hit or not.
Right. But he was fearing for his life in that moment, and now he actually now he took that hit to the chin, and oh my god, that was out. Glorious.
How does he not suspect anything? Like how does this inhuman strength not be like, okay, is there some human experimentation? Was she trained for this? Like, what? How is he not questioning it? I guess maybe it's because not my mission, not my problem. Like, you know, if it interferes with the mission, I'm not going to worry about it. I don't know.
I wonder.
Or maybe he's just super impressed with the strength.
Yeah. No, it is curious.
She says she's not as pretty as Fiona. Girl, that's not true.
They're both really beautiful, in my opinion.
Yeah, but, sure, of course. They're both really beautiful, and it just comes down to preferences.
It definitely does. But yeah, no, she is absolutely gorgeous.
I do have one more thing, and it's about the song she sings. Not so much the lyrics, although I guess I could try to do an analysis of the lyrics.
Yes.
It's more so that it's the same song that his mother sang, that Loid's mother sang. I just wonder, like, where did the song come from? Is it just a common folk song in the area? You know, were these two countries one country at one point, or
right?
Is this just a song that's traveled around that area of the world? I don't know. Is this a family song? Like, is there some sort of... I mean, I'm not saying, like, sibling or anything, but is this, you know... or maybe a town, you know? Some sort of culture going on. I don't know. Just, I thought it was interesting that they would sing the same song.
Yeah.
Even though she didn't know some of the words.
Right, absolutely. And I guess I've also had the thought that, well, since it definitely seems to be inspired by Germany during the Cold War, that obviously was one unified country before the end of World War II. And so if this is about 1970, then maybe 25, 30 years ago, this was one unified country. Like, the West and East were one country together. And so there would be a culture, and I mean, obviously they speak the same language. We also, or at least we assume that it's always the same language spoken within the manga. So it is one country, or it probably is. It's my speculation is that it used to be one single country, and that does have a shared history and culture originally.
That makes sense.
But yeah,
that's all I have on Yor.
All right, then moving on to Fiona Frost, Nightfall. I will kick it off by saying one thing that was very important to me. I think she is so cute in her tennis getup. Like, oh my god.
Yeah. She was rocking it.
That was so, like, she looked so good in that. Anyway.
That's what she was hoping for.
Yeah. She would woo me, like, easily. If I was in Twilight's shoes. Anyway.
You're good at tennis. Be my wife.
Yeah, if only it worked that way.
Success.
And I guess continuing from the previous volume, seeing all the fantasies in her head, like, about how she is, you know, just gushing for Twilight is just so cute to see, and very wholesome and just nice. And obviously, like, just the contrast between her facade and her in her head or her mind, obviously, is fun to watch.
She is a romantic, a big one.
Really is, really is. And it was also fun that she made it so that she was Twilight's wife during the tournament.
All according to Keikaku.
Yes.
I love how she shakes when Twilight praises her during the final match. Like, there's a moment. I guess you could argue that maybe that was still the gas, but they had like figured out what to do against the twins or the siblings or whatever, and so Twilight turns and says, "Yeah, great job. We're gonna do this." And she's kind of looked like she's shaking, like she's about to scream in joy that he praised her. I thought that was pretty. I guess it maybe should have a comedy, but anyway, I just.
Oh no, it's good. It's good.
and then contemplates making the match last forever.
Right.
It's like, oh, take a step back, girl.
I'm glad she didn't give in to that thought, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's almost like a tragic character in the sense that
Yeah.
Yor has become this ultimate love rival who clearly doesn't share the same romantic feelings at this point, but is in a more, I guess, romantic position
Right. Yeah.
than her. And, and as the story goes, I can't really see her taking Loid for her own, like
Yeah.
that would be, I don't know, it'd almost be like NTR kind of crap.
Yeah, like I definitely also don't see that either. While I absolutely love Fiona, I 100% agree with you. Like, Yor and Twilight are the OTP of the story, like 100%.
Yeah.
But still, I absolutely enjoy Nightfall.
Yeah. She brings another level of comedy and just great moments to the story, and can't wait to see more of it.
Absolutely. Although I will say that or at least the impression I'm under now, since this volume ended, or with what happened in this volume on Fiona's side, is that to me it sort of seems like maybe she's gonna be absent from the story for a while or a bit, and then she will eventually return with a vengeance. But I don't know.
Yeah.
When.
I could see it happening that way.
I feel like maybe that's kind of what the intention is right now, because obviously she isn't like a main character.
No.
So while I would have loved for her to not go to the mountains to train tennis, I do think she's gonna maybe be absent for a bit. But hey, that's only gonna make her eventual return even sweeter. So.
Right.
Yeah. At least that's my thinking.
Right. I put her on par with Yuri as he didn't have any screen time this volume.
True.
So I feel like that she'll come here and there, and maybe bring a new challenge for Yor.
Oh yeah.
Something like that.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, she definitely wants to challenge Yor again. Somehow. Whether it's tennis or something else. So.
That lady's full of energy.
Yeah.
That's a kind way of putting it.
I love that comment. It's such a childlike comment too, like such a realistic, like a child would say that. Like, it's so good. So good. Anyway, anything more on Nightfall?
That's all I got.
All right. Moving on to Becky Blackbell then, a bit. I guess most of the rest of the ones are a bit more minor, but with Becky, for me at least, the main thing with her was that we got a little bit of a glimpse into her past in this book through Martha, her servant or chauffeur or whatever her role is. Anyway, it seemed to me like Becky's outlook on life had been very negative overall until she met and befriended Anya. So I guess it's just nice to potentially know that Anya's influence on Becky has made Becky just happier overall, or at least that's how it seemed to me.
Happier and maybe a little less stuck up, because it seemed like she was just, calling everybody brats, and she didn't want to go to this academy because she's like ill-breds. Like, she just thought she was better than everybody else.
Yeah.
But I guess Anya helped change her attitude quite a bit.
Yeah.
So I mean, kudos for Becky for just, I guess, changing, but also, Anya's a great friend. They're really, friendship goals. Those two.
Absolutely, yeah. Oh, they're so good together.
She's basically dedicated herself to being Anya's ally in love. Yeah. Like, supposedly she'll help her with Damien.
Yeah.
Even though Anya's like, nope, I have no such feelings for the man. Not on my scale.
Yeah. Yeah, that is really funny side thing, I guess, like in the story, how Becky is just completely under that impression.
Yeah. Didn't get to see Loid in the flesh, though. Oh, man. She just would have waited a little bit longer, maybe.
Eventually, she'll have it. I guess that's something I also look forward to. Just for her to come face to face with Loid.
She makes her claim as another love rival.
Yeah.
She's like, so that's the wife. I didn't realize she was so pretty. She's much prettier in person.
Oh yeah.
I guess she'll be my love, or my love rival or something like that. Wrecking homes is a no-no.
Oh yeah. Good Martha. Yeah, and well, I guess I'll mention, since we've mentioned Martha, or I've mentioned Martha twice now. And I don't think this. It's just something my sleepy ass self thought when I read it the first time.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to mention it just in case I'm onto something, but I don't actually think I am. I thought her eyes were really similar to Damien's eyes.
Oh, what the?
Obviously that's
Whoa.
really strange if they're related. But I don't know, it was just something I thought was pretty similar.
That would be whack.
No, it would be. It would completely.
I thought you were going to say something like, oh, what if Martha's a spy, spying on the Blackbells or something like that.
Gotcha. Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's really out there. Okay, well, we'll see. We'll put a pin on that.
Right, exactly. That's what we'll do. Anything more on Becky?
Nah.
All right, then moving on to
wait.
Yes.
She had her own fashion show too.
She did. It was glorious.
And she wore some of, or one. She wore yours outfit.
Yeah.
And I was like,
that was the best part.
Wow. Yeah, it was pretty great. Anyway, I like that. That was cute. Although it is a little weird that they are like a bunch of 6-year-olds doing that.
I mean, yes.
Especially when they had like the I think one of them called it like the sexy outfit.
Yeah, that was a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah. I'm not okay with this.
No.
But they're just having fun. I mean,
yeah.
Just a fashion show kind of a thing. So anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So yes, then moving on to Damien Desmond. Poor kid was, he felt like he had to kind of back out of seeing his dad because he thinks himself kind of too far below his dad. So sad.
Gosh, it really is.
Obviously, we did know of that dynamic before, but just I guess this book also just kind of cemented that even further.
Mm-hmm. Well, going as far as to getting his brother to do that for him, and then backing out at the last minute. I mean, man, it just shows how bad his, I guess, self-worth is at this point.
Yeah.
His self-doubt, at least in terms of his, compared to his father.
Right.
No kid should feel like that with their parent.
No.
But like we said, Anya gives him the courage to turn back and stay.
Yeah.
And yeah, then he gets to meet Anya's dad. Like,
yeah.
Good on him.
Yeah. And even though Twilight is kind of ruining the family reunion there, he is still technically seeing his dad now.
Yeah, that's true.
Possibly for the first time in quite a while. So I guess that's something.
Yeah. It'd be nice if it's a happy reunion, but something tells me it may not go great for him. But I wonder, that whole sheep keychain thing and then seeing Loid, I wonder if Damien will bring that up to Anya at all. And maybe kind of mention like, oh, you forgot your keychain. I was the one who found it. And she'd be like, what the heck are you talking about?
Oh, yeah. All right. I could see it be pretty much exactly what you're saying. I could also see it being that he might say something like that to Anya, but that she will obviously read his mind perhaps and be like, oh, like, or understand, or like she had read her dad's mind and she knew about it maybe. I don't know. But yeah,
potentially,
that is an interesting possibility though. I guess another thing that was also a bit further made clear, I guess, in this volume was Damien's affection for Anya, which I feel at this point sort of that he is becoming more aware of those feelings that he has for her.
Absolutely.
So that's Yeah, that's awesome. That's exciting.
Yeah, it was funny that Anya's goal with the whole shopping thing was to get Damien to fall for her. Um, in the end, like they just bought keychains and just it kind of was almost like that didn't work out. But then Damien gets noticed them being themselves and
Yeah.
smiling, and yeah, he was like kind of a little captivated by that.
True.
Like
So,
that.
absolutely. Yeah. I loved that page first of all, but I didn't really think of it in that way. But I really love that way to think about it, and how, yeah, even though she didn't get any clothes, she got the sheep, and that, or I guess thanks to the sheep, she was able to get his attention with her smile, kind of.
You see, it's
Mm.
always in her own strange way that she'll get it done.
Yeah. Yeah, it
It's
is.
not like, oh, get this clothes and he'll like you. Like she'll get it done. She'll get it done.
Yes, absolutely. More on Damien.
Nope.
All right, then. Any other characters that you want to bring up?
Frankie's the best babysitter.
He is. He
Not everything is about
absolutely
money, but also yes, I'll take that. Who wants to go to the park? I've kind of grown more fond of Frankie. I mean, we didn't see him in last volume at all, but here he
Right.
is again, and
Hmm.
I wouldn't mind seeing more of him and just kind of get maybe a little backstory or something like that.
Yeah.
Interesting about in this chapter he appears, he asks Anya if she loves her mom and dad, and she's like, "Of course I do. I love them." Or
Yeah.
well, actually, he asks her what she thinks of them,
Oh yeah. Mm.
and I wonder. I guess like he's kind of under the impression that he understands this is all a mission. This is all more or less fake. Maybe he feels bad for her because you know at one point it might end. But I
Mm.
wonder what I don't know. I just wonder what's going on, like why he would ask that to her.
Right.
There wasn't much clarification there.
True.
Maybe it hits home for Frankie in some way. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Right. Right. Yeah, you're right. I definitely would like some more. Well, to dive a little deeper into his character.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Mm. He is going to appear on the cover for Volume 8, as I have seen. So
Nice.
hopefully that means something about his relevance to the story. Although I guess we can't know for sure. But
I mean, it's not like he's not my favorite character right now, but he's one of those characters that okay, I'm ready to hear more about you,
right, absolutely.
and that's all I got.
All right, then moving on to the comedy. I loved that Agent Daybreak was apparently on in the tennis tournament among all
Wait,
of
he
the
was?
challengers. Yeah. So there was like a brief little montage as they were beating the last couple of ones before the finals. After they beat the two big guys,
Uh-huh.
there was a little montage. It's just one panel actually, and we see like some defeated people on the ground, and Agent Daybreak is lying there. It's like 100% him. I thought that was so, and he's holding a ping pong racket.
Oh, that was him.
Yeah.
Oh.
I thought that was hilarious. So he did return, even though very, very briefly. So yeah, that really got me.
I mean, he's probably not getting any jobs, so.
Right. Although the fact that he got to face off against Twilight and Nightfall must mean that he at least won his first two matches.
I mean, he rolls around a lot, so I guess he has some athleticism.
True.
And maybe
Yeah.
using a ping pong paddle is actually a good strategy. Who knows?
Maybe. Yeah.
I doubt
who
it,
really
but-
knows?
I just think the whole underground tennis thing is so absurd.
Yeah.
It's like instead of boxing or some legal dog fighting or something like that, it's tennis,
Yeah, that is funny.
which I guess is a little more, just a little better,
Mm.
not illegal. Uh, the scars of the players and the steroid doing just the ridiculousness of it all. These tennis players with giant scars and ripped muscles.
Yeah.
It was just so ridiculous.
It really is. I also love the name of the tournament, calling it Campbellton.
Yeah.
Instead of like Wimbledon. Is funny. Chapter 33 ended with Twilight and Nightfall high-fiving in the car.
Yeah.
Which was a nice way to end that chapter, but
I've actually seen this one you're about to talk about.
Okay, you have. Cool. Yeah. So there was a bonus page in the physical volume, which I guess also appeared in where you're reading it.
No.
Or
I was at a bookstore and I just was like, oh, there's volume 6. I had already read it, but I was like, oh, might as well take a look at it.
Oh yeah.
And I saw that. I was like, I love this.
That is so basically, for anyone who doesn't know, right after they high five there's a little explanation later on in the volume on a separate page that explains that they were in a minor car accident right after that because Nightfall was just too... Well, she couldn't focus on the road because she had just touched Twilight.
Too excited.
Yeah, definitely too excited.
I think just like looking at her hand, and she's probably like shaking, like
hyperventilating.
And, I love it.
Yeah,
so good. So because when it did happen, when that high five does happen, I'm like, oh, that's good. Wow, she touched him, and there's no reaction.
Right.
And so this made a lot more sense.
Yes.
I was so glad I took a peek at that. I didn't get to see everything that was in the volume, but that's the one thing that I saw in the physical version. I was like, yes, Sweet. That's great.
Sweet. I guess speaking of that, there was like the very, very, very last page, or at least of the stuff that's not like advertisement, is a picture of, basically it's the same image as the front cover, which is a picture of Fiona sitting in a chair.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically that. It's the same drawing, but she's wearing a bride's dress. Like she's sitting the exact same pose, same face expression, but she's wearing a bride's dress, and in her hand, instead of holding a gun, she's holding a marriage license. So I guess it's her dream.
Well, she does say, "Be my double partner for life."
Yes,
my double partner for life.
Right. That was so great. So cute. She's so cute.
She's such a romantic.
Yeah.
Is it a coincidence that their name is phony? You know, like as in a phony person, like a phony name, like, you know. But I also had the same thought about the Forger name. It sounds like forgery.
Right, yeah.
Forge, you know. Uh-huh. So these names are not very subtle.
No, I agree. And I do think it's intentional, probably.
It's got to be.
Yeah.
So, another kind of Fiona crushing on Loid moment. So, the steroid guy said, better get that girl to change her diaper. And she's like, of course, I'd be happy to. And I was like, no, bad. Bad, Fiona. That's gross.
Oh, dear. Mm-hmm. Hey, at least she's willing. She would do it if it needed to be done.
Yeah, I mean, that's true love, right?
Yeah.
But there's also, like, some weird kinks associated with that. So
absolutely.
I guess I shouldn't kink shame, but still, it's no, come on. Anyway, so it turns out Zacharias' dossier was his idol collection.
Yeah.
I did not expect that.
No, absolutely.
Especially, especially in this time period. I mean, granted, these were musical idols, I guess you could say. There's a word they used for them, I can't remember, but
yeah, starlets.
Starlets, yeah. And yeah, I don't know. It was just a very unexpected thing.
Absolutely, yeah. It was great.
There's some pretty cute pictures there.
Yeah, totally. It's kind of like this world's version of like buying like anime figurines or stuff like that, I guess. Maybe.
Or being like an idol fanatic, you know.
Oh yeah. I
love
guess
AKB47, or I guess nowadays it's cool to like K-pop idols. Idol isn't K-pop, but maybe, yeah. That's besides the point.
Yes. My last thing that I noted down for comedy here is also a bonus page, sadly, but it was something I just had to bring up because it was really funny. Is basically we got like one little bonus page that showed what Anya, Bond, and Frankie were doing during that chapter when Loid and Yor were out, and they go to the park. They're all super excited. Like Bond, Anya, and Frankie are all super excited, like running to the park with a frisbee, gonna catch that, like throw that around, and so pretty much immediately Frankie throws the frisbee for Bond to go fetch, but Bond just sits there. Bond like goes like he was a second ago he was super excited, but then he just sits there, does not run after the frisbee at all, and he's just really, so Frank is just really confused. And then Anya reads Bond's mind, and it turns out that Bond was under the impression that they were going to go to the park so that Anya could throw the frisbee and Frankie could go run after it.
What?
And Bond would just watch, clapping his paws.
Oh, Bond.
So that was really good.
Well, did they?
They didn't. That was only in Bond's mind.
No.
And then the very last panel of that page, we see Anya patting Frankie's arm like she has done at least once before. Just kind of pat, and Frankie's just confused. Anyway, yeah, I just wanted to mention that because it was really, I thought it was really funny.
Drunk Yours strikes again. Really funny how she's slurring her words. And she's singing the lullaby, which is really cute. But then she's like, I forgot the words.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Definitely.
Thought it was funny and cute.
Uh-huh.
And at the very end of that chapter, having to explain the situation all over again.
Yeah.
After that, so.
Poor Loid.
Good stuff.
And the big chin bump he got.
Oh, man. That was huge.
I love the first panel where we see it, and he has this just like super serious face expression, but he has that chin. And it's just a really funny contrast.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And, Frankie and Anya are making fun of him for it. It's a great moment. It
is.
When they're going out shopping, or she shows off, he shows Becky her cash on, and is like, "How many peanuts could I buy with this? I can't." It's so funny. She just loves the peanut stuff.
Yeah.
And lastly, just Anya's serious face when she's gonna wait for Damien's dad to show up, and she's so serious, and she immediately falls asleep.
Yeah, so good. And I guess really quickly, this is not a comedic thing, but on that scene that I forgot to mention earlier, or I don't know if I forgot to mention it, but I want to mention it now, so I felt I will. I want to give a bit of credit to Damien's friends. Like they were there waiting with him for all that time, just being cool. So.
Yeah, they're good friends to him.
They really are.
Not great people. Yeah, I mean, they're little kids. They're little kids,
Right, yeah.
But they understand that Damien has kind of these father's issues, and they are wanting to support him in that. So, they're good friends to him.
Definitely. But I guess that is all for comedy and the characters and everything like that.
Yeah.
Then moving on to the last piece of the discussion here, where we'll just talk about whatever. I guess we should start about talking maybe about predictions and what we think this scene where the cliffhanger leaves us, where's that going to lead? Kind of. We got Twilight meeting Donovan Desmond. Is that going to go well or not? Kind of what will the consequences be of this meeting? What are your thoughts?
I think it could end well for Loid, at least not perfectly, but Desmond is not going to think he's not going to think low of him. If anything, he's going to turn his disappointment to Damien, is my thinking.
Right.
And that Damien just won't get the closure that he needs, obviously, and I think he'll be a little disappointed. But I think Loid will cheer him up somehow and, kind of encourage him like he's done so many times. And yeah, that's how I see it going down. I mean, I'd be really surprised if Damien gets a win here with his father. Like, I don't know, like,
yeah,
I'd be shocked.
Yeah, I definitely agree that it's probably not going to go Damien's way right here.
Mm-hmm.
And about Twilight, I don't think it's necessarily going to lead to, like, I guess, a great immediate start to a relationship between Twilight and Desmond, or Donovan. Like, I don't think it's necessarily going to lead to something great immediately there, but I do think that maybe a little further down the line, Twilight is going to benefit from having had this meeting with Donovan at this point. Is
right.
probably my thinking.
At the very least, introduce himself, you know?
Exactly, yeah. Like, it can't be bad, right? Like, because I feel like Twilight is on top of it. Like, he is in control of the situation right here. So I do think he's not gonna ruin it for himself.
Mm-hmm.
I guess those are all the predictions I have. Kind of vague, but still, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's my main one because it's such a huge cliffhanger there.
Yeah.
And I think that'll be addressed in the next chapter.
Yeah, right. It has to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Besides that and the other things I've guessed before, I really don't have anything.
Right. Then, well, yeah, I guess that is the end of the discussion. Then no other final words or anything to tie it up or end it off?
Yeah, I have one other thing
Hmm?
just about the manga series in general.
Oh, yeah.
So, according to Oricon, whatever, a Japanese website where they kind of rank the top selling things of the year or whatnot,
Hmm?
I believe Spy Family made the list, and I think it was like number 7,
Oh,
and they had like 4 million something sales, I think.
nice.
Number 1 is Jujutsu Kaisen,
Hmm.
and that sold 30.9 million. And then Demon Slayer was 29.5 million.
Oh, wow, they were pretty close.
Yeah. Attack on Titan was number 4.
I see.
My Hero Academia 5. Tokyo Revengers was 3rd.
Mm.
And then it was One Piece after that. One Piece is obviously huge,
Right.
but I think it sold like 7 million or something like that.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, it's pretty impressive to be on that list, and I think it just
Yeah.
goes to show that Spy Family is really connecting with people despite only being out just a couple years, and
Yeah.
it doesn't even have an anime yet. So
Exactly.
that could do even more wonders for sales if the story continues to improve on itself.
Absolutely. And I wonder if the anime is going to be like a single season length or a double season length, because I'm thinking if it's just going to be like a 12 episode season, then it's probably not going to reach Fiona at all. I'm thinking. Then Fiona might be left completely for a potential second season if they continue it. But if it is like a 24 or so episode season, then surely everything that we've covered now and maybe a bit more will be in it. But anyway, remains to be seen. Anyway, super excited for that anime to start next year or this year, depending on when this episode airs. But yes. But I guess that's it for this week.
Yeah, I think that is it. Mm-hmm.
Cool. Then, if you enjoy our content, you can follow us on Twitter at Umami Manga, and it would be lovely if you'd like to support us by either rating our show on the podcast platforms or subscribing to our channel Umami Manga on YouTube. If you like this episode, please share it with anyone you think might enjoy it too. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time when we'll talk about Volume 7. Bye-bye!
See ya! I'm hungry. I went for a run today, like I usually do. But I didn't run yesterday because I usually run on Mondays. I just wasn't feeling it. And sometimes your body says, you know what, I need a break. And you have to mentally tell yourself that's okay. But sometimes your brain's like, but I must run or I will be lazy. I'll be fat. You're like, bruh, it's okay.